What is going on, everybody? My name is Ciara Lawler. Welcome to another week of Hero or Zero. This is the Heroes for Hire podcast. We are back again talking one comic book character, as we do every single week. We talk their good points, their bad points, and generally just give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. As always, I am joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Shaun Jamieson. Shaun, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm really glad that the internet got better over the last 10 years, because otherwise this show would have just stopped dead right about February time.
That's true, actually. And because that, if we were on dial-up, it would not have been good. But what I will say is, I told you, I was going to tell you something as we started to record, and that is this, that I completely forgot that we were recording this. So earlier on we were texting and I was like, oh, what time are you free? You said a time. I said, that's grand. Then I proceeded to begin a jigsaw. Now what happened in between was, Shaun, you rang me at our scheduled time and I rejected the call, not deleted.
And I was a bit concerned about that.
I rejected it because I was hunched over a jigsaw and you started calling me, and I will guarantee I looked at my phone and went, why is this fucking idiot calling? Oh no, I remember now. So
wait, you were doing a jigsaw from when we talked about the time up until when we recorded?
No, only since like midday. Or not like after that, but like I got into it. I got into it big time. Like, I was doing the usual thing, and you know I'm a fiend for a jigsaw. So
indeed. What scene are you working with?
It's a winter one. I will say that. Yeah.
Lot of plain white, I'd imagine.
Lot of plain white. Like to challenge myself. Lot of snow. But sure,
you're
this
colourblind.
Is here. Notoriously, which is lucky, because it's all snow. So it's absolutely fine, actually. But as this is Hero Zero, Shaun, what we normally do here is I cover DC characters, you cover Marvel characters, and last week you did like probably a shit Marvel character nobody can remember. Nobody can even remember.
Electro, one of the most iconic villains of Spider-Man's entire comic career.
I looked at that and I said, DC have better villains? Actually, I did. And I leaned my head forward when I said it, like, yeah, okay now. So, DC, they do have a lot of villains, and someone who has a great rogues gallery is Mr. Batman. And so this week, I'm going to be doing possibly the second best villain the Batman has, and that is Two-Face.
Two-Face.
Because it is our 2-year anniversary, technically, our 100th episode was 4 weeks ago, but it's technically our two-year anniversary of the show. So I said, might be someone big. We're going to have to do someone, you know, that's maybe had a bit of a dent in the comic book world.
Because his name is Dent.
Yes, he's picking up what I'm putting down. That was all a setup for one pun.
He's actually doing Clayface.
Yeah, I don't even fucking like comic books. I've been doing this for 104 weeks just for that joke.
It was the long con and I fucking fell for it.
The long con, yes. I'm Connor.
Fuck you.
So, Harvey Dent, his first appearance was in Detective Comics 66 in August of 1942. Now, very interestingly, Two-Face was created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane. But more interestingly, beside them it says Bill Finger, writer, Bob Kane, artist, which I think is the best way to have them.
That's true. But, like, for those that don't know, Bob Kane for a long time was credited as the sole creator of Batman, when really his whole idea was, what if a man dressed up as a bat?
And that's not a bad idea. You need an ideas man.
You need an ideas man, and then Bill Finger did the rest of it.
Yeah. The person in your school project is like, why don't we do it on, I don't know, solar energy? And then someone's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then the other person does the whole project on solar energy.
Yeah, it just makes like a full-scale model of the sun.
It's like, yeah, that's what I meant earlier on, yeah, well done. So, of course, Two-Face has been in movies throughout the years, 3 times in major movies anyway, with Billy D. Williams originally, Then you had Tommy Lee Jones, and then Aaron Eckhart in the Dark Knight trilogy. But he was actually dubbed Harvey Kent when he was first appeared in comic books, in the very first one. And interestingly, they changed the name to Harvey Dent because, of course, Clarke Kent is Superman. And they felt
Clarke Kent is a mild-mannered reporter at the Daily Planet.
Sorry, yes. Superman is Superman. But Clarke Kent is Clarke Kent, the Kent name was already taken by just a weird little journalist dude who's quite big.
No, he's a little prick. He's tiny, you know.
All
he's
6'4"
journalist. He's built like a truck.
But yeah, so Clarke Kent was taken, so they changed the name from Harvey Kent to Harvey Dent. The character was actually seldom used in the first 20 years. He only appeared like 5 times in the 40s and 50s that I could find. But I will go over his origins now. So, born and raised in Gotham, Harvey Dent was brought up in a lower class and violent household. His father was an abusive alcoholic who repeatedly beat the boy, often using a double-headed coin to give the child a chance to escape a beating. Are we seeing a trend?
I'm not sure that'll come up again.
No, I'm not picking up what you're putting down here, Connor. Where is this leading?
Where is the pun on Dent that you promised?
There's so many of them. So Dent spent much of his early life suffering from various mental issues, notably bipolar disorder and paranoia. Despite his early hardships, he was a good student and was able to obtain a law degree. Deciding that he wished to make Gotham a better place, he ran for and won the position of district attorney in Gotham. He was noted for his dedication to justice and his seeming untouchability. He was very high up, but also he was clean. They had nothing on him.
He wasn't one of Gotham's famous dirty cops / politicians.
No, and that is why he was actually nicknamed Apollo by the media, due to the fact that he was charming, good-looking, and basically had absolutely no dirt on him. Nothing at all.
That's quite a nice contrast to everyone else in Gotham.
Exactly, and he was dedicated to his job of upholding law and order, and he actually became one of the first supporters and allies of even friends of Batman, because Batman appeared on the scene about 6 months after Dent first assumed office. And when Batman started appearing, there was a lot of uproar in the city, because people were kind of like, this guy's a vigilante, he's a dickhead, he's a bit smelly, you know, the usual. And
it's all been said to both of us.
It's all been said. That's how I'm greeted every morning. But Dent was kind of one of the first major ups. Him and Gordon were kind of like, no, I think this guy's trying to do good. And so they became one of the very first supporters on the side of Batman that was also on the side of the law.
That's really cool that he was so willing to accept Batman.
Yeah, because he was all about all about upholding law and order, and it was a case of, well, I think this guy's trying to do good, so we should work with him, whereas everybody else was like, burn the bitch. Yeah,
it's like we can do more with this guy on our side than if we're both interfering with each other.
Yeah. And so this all actually came ahead that obviously Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent have been shown to be good friends. It's even been shown that maybe they met when they were a lot younger and they kind of grew up in the same circles. So Bruce is good friends with Harvey Dent, and he likes, obviously, as Batman, Bruce sees that Harvey Dent is also trying to do good for the city. And so that kind of makes him gain more respect for him. And Dent, Batman and James Gordon all kind of work in a triangle. It's very similar to The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight takes a lot of inspiration from that. That scene when they're all on the rooftop together and they're all talking. Like, it's just like shot really quickly where it's cut between 1, 2 and 3 because everyone's having a conversation about how to take down gangs in Gotham. And I think that is very similar to how it started in the comic books. And probably the major story developing in Two-Face's life was the Long Halloween shot. Now, this is a story that's very famous in Batman comic books and is one of the reasons why Two-Face is who he is in that comic book.
Oh, okay. Now this is a comic book I've not read or looked into.
Yeah, the Long Halloween is... I'm going to very much summarise it here, but there's a killer going around killing all of the crime bosses. are members of crime families in Gotham. And so they all become more and more terrified. Each crime family is kind of like getting more and more paranoia. And they're picking them off one by one. And the killer is known as Holiday, because it keeps killing on holiday times. And so Dent, Batman and James Gordon begin to work together on the Holiday Killer case. Though Dent begins to estrange his allies with his blunt disregard for the lives of criminals at this time. At the time of his job as a district attorney, the worst criminal threat in Gotham City was Carmine Falcone. Do you recognise that name, Shaun?
Didn't he kill the Graysons?
No, that's Tony Zucco.
Ah, Zuko.
Zuko! He forged a trio with Batman and Commissioner Gordon to bring the man down from within the law, no matter what the cost. His slightly angrier temperament led Batman and Commissioner Gordon to develop maybe a slight distrust in him, believing it was slightly possible that he could also be the vigilante dubbed as Holiday. So he seemed too keen to take down the crime boss, and they were kind of like, well, someone's going around killing crime bosses. That's what the case we're working on. Then they're kind of like looking at him, Batman's kind of like, you could very easily be Holiday. You match all of the description.
Match all the descriptions. You have insane access to everyone in this city.
Yes.
You have all the evidence.
And so Batman just starts beating the shit out of him. But after joining Batman in burning a warehouse full of Carmine Falcone's money, Dent and his wife are actually almost killed by a bomb that has been planted in their house.
Oh.
And but this kind of is the stepping stone for what is about to happen. So first there's a bomb planted in their house. They almost die. And Dent is like, the mob are coming after us, but like, I still want to take Maroni down. Like, Maroni is the man I want to take down, because he's hell-bent on law and order to like an obsessive degree. And so he is still focused, and he's asked, do you want to leave the case? It's getting too dangerous. He's like, no, I'm following through. I'm going to take him out. And so the alliance ended tragically when Sal Maroni, believing Dent to be responsible for the death of his father, threw acid in his face during a trial. This was done so Maroni could show just how two-faced this seemingly good person was to the rest of the world.
Interesting. So, because in the Dark Knight, Dent's origin is that his face gets burned off in a building explosion.
True.
So it's like they just bypassed all of that kind of Falcone stuff. But how good was your man's aim that he was able to perfectly split him down half of his face?
I don't know. I think the idea was, we'll just burn some of his face. I don't know if it was meant to be exactly half, but the idea would be like, you burn him because we want to take him down to our level. Because to Maroni, he believes that Dent is the Holiday Killer. And so he's like, you killed my dad, and so you're going around acting like you're untouchable, acting like, I'm really big, I'm clean as fuck. Would I know that you're the killer? And so it was a case of like, well, I'm going to take you down a peg. And so they're in trial together, and he throws the acid on his face.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that comic panel as well. Like, it's one of the most famous comic panels is the birth of Two-Face.
Yeah. And Dent was horribly scarred on the left side of his face. Taken to the hospital, Dent flees after stabbing a doctor and going into hiding in the sewers of Gotham.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so... sorry, you mentioned he had like mental issues with mental illness in his childhood. So is that kind of coming to a head now, is the reason he's...
Well, I think a lot of why he did so well in Law and Order is that he's such an obsessive when it gets to something. Like, he has to stay focused, and he's been so focused on Law and Order all of his life, and this is like the first time where it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm not untouchable. I think it would have taken very little to send him over the edge. Unfortunately, this was a lot. So it might have taken like even one scandal that the media found on him, and I think he probably would have gone over the edge. But this was like a whole other level of just, okay, this is the worst thing that could have happened to me. I'm no longer Gotham's, as they say in The Dark Knight, the White Knight of Gotham.
Yeah, he's a two-faced leader of Gotham. Little prick, sorry, that's what I meant to say.
So, Dent, after escaping from the hospital, descended into madness, and he became obsessed with duality and opposites, and developed a second persona, the villainous Two-Face, to complement the law and order obsessed Dent. So as Two-Face, his trademark was crimes involving the number 2. His obsession even shows in his clothes, which are usually composed of 2 halves made out of very different materials. At all times, he carries a double-sided coin with one side defaced. Now, this is the same coin that his father used when he was little.
Right, okay, but now it does have 2 sides, technically.
Yeah, which he constantly flips to make any choices. The Two-Face flips the coin at critical junctures. The scarred side would usually result in a crime, and the clean side would allow Two-Face to do the right thing, such as even returning his loot or refraining from a murder if he's in the middle of a robbery or a murder.
Jesus, so it really is down to chance.
So, like, if he's in the jewellery store and he's leaving with the big bag of money that has the dollar sign on it, the classic, and he's like, do I take this money? He flips the coin. If it lands clean, he will put the things back, because he doesn't want to fuck with that.
That's unreal. There was a comic I read, and it was about it's really like kind of creepy artwork and stuff like that, but it's about Arkham Asylum itself, and they give Two-Face, because they're trying to like cure Two-Face of his need to flip the coin for everything. And so they give him a pack of tarot cards.
I was coming to that, yes. But yeah, please continue.
No, you tell it. You tell it. It's your report.
Okay, sorry. But that's good research. Well done. So, after his first few encounters with Batman, Two-Face attempted to abandon all ties with his own past life. Because you also have to remember, Bruce has a personal interest in this because he's also friends with Dent. And so he sees the downfall, and that's done really well in the Batman the Animated Series. There's a 2-parter called Two-Face, and that's for all intents and purposes, that's a kid's cartoon. But for the first, I don't know how many episodes it is, I think it might be 10 episodes, Bruce and Harvey Dent are just shown to be friends. And Harvey's shown to just be a normal guy. And it's not until episode 11 that he turns into Two-Face. And it means more, because you've kind of seen, oh, well, that's just a character in the show. And it's a continuity thing. That like 11 episodes in, then that's when he becomes Two-Face. The show doesn't start with him as Two-Face.
That's cool that you see, like, you see everything he was beforehand, and then you see him fall, and then you see him after.
And that adds nothing but sympathy.
Yeah, because it would be very easy to just... Because he's a very easy villain to explain, really. So his whole thing is that it's all about chance. He flips a coin to decide the crimes he commits.
And he's constantly fighting amongst himself. So Two-Face even attempts to abandon all ties with his own past life, including his loving wife Gilda, when he after his first few encounters with Batman. This, however, proved too much for the good side of his personality, and he began attempting to visit Gilda, claiming he had regained his face through plastic surgery. Gilda, however, soon saw through the fabrication, and this unhinged Dent even more. Batman apprehended him at this stage, but this would be a common theme where Two-Face will get healed. Well, not healed, but he will have plastic surgery. And he might be good for a short period, and then something will happen that sets him on the path again of madness.
Right, so like you're saying, it could be the smallest thing could break him. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be acid in the face.
For example, shortly after, a certain Dr. Eckhart, which is actually weird, because the doctor's called Dr. Eckhart, and you've Aaron Eckhart, who plays him in the movie. That's just a weird little trivia fact. But Dr. Eckhart performed plastic surgery on Dent's face, seemingly repairing it for good. While the facial reconstruction managed to partially heal Two-Face's fractured mind, Eckhart's assistant, Mr. Wilkins, began to place suspicion on Harvey Dent once more by committing crimes disguised as Two-Face. So Eckhart heals him, and his assistant in the surgery is like, nah, I'm gonna fuck this whole man's life up again.
He's gonna ruin this man's whole career.
For no reason. So Two-Face is healed, and he's just like, I'm on the mend. And this guy just starts committing murders disguised as Two-Face to try and drive him mental again.
What the fuck? What's this man's problem?
he just about to end this man's whole career. So Batman, however, saw through the disguise and helped Two-Face clear his name. For 2 years, Dent led a normal life, until actor Paul Sloan, scarred in the same manner as Dent had once been, was driven mad, beginning to think he was really Dent as Two-Face. So there's another person who had also been scarred, and he begins to go mental as well. So Batman arrested Sloan for several attempted robberies and had his face restored, in the same manner that Harvey Dent had once been. So his face is restored, everything's going well, Shaun. There's no way this could go bad.
Not what, Connor, are you insinuating that things might go bad?
I'm insinuating my next line might... Yes.
Okay, good.
So, this is just coming into the 60s. So, in the 40s and 50s, it was kind of every so often he'd appear in comic books. But they liked the Two-Face character, but they'd healed him. So, how do you bring him back? Well, Dent, however, was caught in an explosion a few years later, which undid the plastic surgery and scarred his face once again.
Oh, it perfectly matched his previous wounds.
And so, maddened again, the revived Two-Face hired the crime doctor to kidnap Paul Sloan, the actor who had his face scarred, and scar the actor's face again to mirror the transformation that had occurred in Dent. Although restored as Two-Face's twin, Sloan proved more fortunate and had his face repaired again after being rescued by Batman. Meanwhile, Dent was brought to justice and placed behind bars. So he's always, not only that, but he's seen Sloan as like, you're one of us. Don't try to heal yourself, because if this happens to me all the time, it has to happen to you too.
Right, okay.
Because he's obsessed with the number 2.
So you might say they're two sides of the same coin.
You could say that. Yes, well done.
Thanks.
So I'm going to cover some of his major story arcs, and one of them would be No Man's Land, which is just really interesting. So No Man's Land is when an earthquake leaves Gotham City basically in rubble, and in the aftermath of the earthquake that left Gotham City in the shambles, Two-Face escaped. Two-Scape the Face custody, and he kidnapped Commissioner Gordon to put him on trial for his actions during No Man's Land. So he puts Commissioner Gordon on trial. Two-Face was both the judge and the prosecutor in the trial. However, Gordon played upon Two-Face's split psyche and demanded that Harvey Dent was his defence attorney during the whole thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so Harvey Dent cross-examined Two-Face and won an acquittal for Gordon.
So is Harvey Dent smarter than Two-Face then?
See, no, but the idea would be that Harvey Dent is so much about law and order, and Two-Face is just about revenge. And so what would have happened was, Two-Face is like, we should kill Gordon because he's so bad. But when he becomes Harvey Dent, he would have looked at that situation and said, law and order would dictate Gordon is a good man and he's done nothing wrong. But the problem is Two-Face is basing it off emotions, like, we need to kill Gordon, he's a little dickhead.
That's so cool. I love that that's a thing that happened in comics.
Yeah, I read that and I thought, that's such an interesting idea, that you put someone up on trial and he's not only the judge, the prosecutor, but he's also the defence attorney as his opposite personality.
That's fucking ridiculous.
It is, but it's really good. But Two-Face hasn't always been bad as well. And so a short time after this, Two-Face met the brilliant surgeon, Dr. Thomas Elliot. Now, do you know who Dr. Thomas Elliot is?
Hush. Isn't it Hush?
Yes, indeed. So he specialises in neurosurgery, but he was also competent enough to repair Dent's face via plastic surgery. And so Dent's sanity was restored, and the menacing Two-Face persona seemed to be gone forever. Thomas Elliot was also the villain known as Hush, and he had hoped to manipulate Dent into acting as one of his many pawns against Batman, because Hush is a whole other story I'm not getting into right now. But,
fair enough.
but with renewed sanity, Dent stood by the side of law and order and betrayed Hush, catching him in enough time to save Batman's life. And so this was the start of actually a redemption arc for Harvey Dent in comic books.
Which will surely last forever.
You see, it would, but it does go to some very extreme lengths, and why it doesn't last forever is also very interesting, because in the story Face to Face, having regained Batman's trust, Dent was actually trained and conditioned by Batman to act as Gotham's primary vigilante protector when he, Robin and Nightwing were away.
What?
Yeah, so him, Robin and Nightwing were gone. They took a 1-year hiatus to train, right, during something called the Lost Year. Now, this is a whole thing in comic books. But
right.
Batman trained Harvey Dent to be Gotham's primary vigilante protector while they were gone.
So Harvey Dent was like the one man fighting all of the supervillains?
Yes.
What? That's ridiculous.
Yes! And he undertakes these duties as a form of atonement, because he's Harvey Dent now. He's not Two-Face. And
right.
so,
and he presumably remembers everything.
And he remembers what he did, so he has to atone for what he did. And though initially reluctant, he soon finds he enjoys his work as a vigilante. He lacks Batman's finesse, is what I'll say, but he is definitely, he's definitely useful in that role.
Yeah, presumably he's more of a... he's neither the world's greatest fighter nor the world's greatest detective. But presumably he's better than most of the people he's fighting.
Exactly. And so when the problem comes in when Batman returns, Dent begins to feel useless. And when Batman confronts him about a series of murders involving minor villains, Dent refuses to say whether he is responsible or not. Blowing up his apartment and fleeing, right? Which I think is 0 to 100 real fucking quick.
It's not the work of an innocent man, is it?
Yeah. After flipping a coin, the Two-Face persona re-emerges, and Two-Face releases most of the animals in the zoo, as well as killing 4 police officers. He's defeated eventually by Batman and Robin, but what's interesting about all this is that Batman and Robin later discover that the Great White Shark, the villain called the Great White Shark, was responsible for the murders of the minor villains. So Two-Face was completely... he had done nothing wrong. And or Harvey Dent, I should say, had done nothing wrong. And if it wasn't for Batman maybe questioning him and questioning his loyalty, it wouldn't have driven him over the edge.
Right, okay. But it just goes to show, Harvey Dent is always walking that line. He's
always walking that line of one thing can go wrong. He's trying to do his best for atonement, and Batman just needs to ask once, did you kill them? And it's kind of you don't trust me. Well, why don't you trust me? Oh, because I'm a bad man. Why am I bad? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he starts going down that road.
Yeah, he starts spiralling, and then he eventually breaks.
And so I think they're probably the two... He's also in Battle for the Cowl for a little bit. I think they're probably the two major stories I like in Face to Face and No Man's Land. But for in the Battle for the Cowl storyline, so Battle for the Cowl is a story we've covered a lot on the show, but it's basically when Batman dies and Nightwing becomes Batman. And this annoys Dent because he notices in a recent videotape of Batman that he notices Batman smiling in one of the CCTV footages, and he can't figure out who the fuck this guy is because it's not Batman, because Batman does not smile.
Batman never smiles, yeah.
Yeah. And he deduces that there's a new person under the cowl, which is in reality Dick Grayson. Two-Face then searches for a person with teleporting abilities he can hire who can take him to the Batcave. Two-Face selects 3 possible candidates for the role, and when he locates one who is willing to hire himself out to him, he murders the other 2 teleporters.
Oh, so no one would know.
Nobody would know.
He's getting rid of witnesses.
Yes.
Shit.
And so Two-Face is teleported into the original Batcave, and his intrusion is soon discovered by Alfred. But when Batman comes down, or Dick Grayson in this case, he's ambushed by Two-Face. The hero discovers that the giant penny in the Batcave is covered with deep scratches across the surface, which is just a cool visual image. And Two-Face shoots Dick with several high-powered darts that pierce his inferior costume, because if you remember, Dick Grayson, when he's Batman, he sacrifices the body armor of the Batsuit for like better mobility.
Yeah,
so
he's like acrobatics are his big thing.
He's a flippy boy rather than a puncher.
Flippy boy.
Yeah, so the darts are able to pierce through his armour, and he realises that he's actually injected him with Scarecrow's fear toxins, and then Two-Face proceeds to beat the fucking shit out of Dick.
Oh no.
Yeah, just kicking the shit out of him. And he continues to beat the fallen crime fighter angrily, shouting that he could never replace the original Batman. He also reveals that he'd been trying to infiltrate the famed Batcave for years, but he had no success until that day, because the original Batman would have never leave himself open to an attack. Alfred Pennyworth, however, does save Mr. Dick Grayson, Little Dicky, by giving him the antidote for the toxin, because I'm sure they probably have loads of that shit in the cave.
Yeah, they should really just keep it on him at all times.
Yeah.
Like.
And so he just injects himself, and Dick then dives into the shadows out of Two-Face's view, and then starts to panic and starts firing his gun at every shadow, and then Dick retaliates by basically kicking the shit out of him. And afterwards, Two-Face admits that he really believes that Dick is the original Batman, but has changed in major ways. But I just like that idea that, like, sometimes, like, it annoys him so much that Batman has changed, that he has to go beat the shit out of this new guy, because it's just not right, because everything has to be the same, because otherwise he freaks out.
Like, that's not the way things are.
Yeah. So in terms of personality, Two-Face is not consistently evil. Every time he contemplates a crime, he flips his two-headed coin. Only if the coin comes up the scratch side did Two-Face go ahead and commit the crime, never questioning the result of the toss. Never. So It's never in doubt what the coin has told him. This compulsion is a compromise between Dent's evil Two-Face personality and his former law-abiding self. Over the years, he has been shown to rely on the coin to different degrees, sometimes to decide whether or not to commit a crime, sometimes to decide whether or not to do something good, like save someone. He will even go out of his way to do good deeds if the coin mandates that.
Oh, so if the coin is like, you should save all of those people that the Joker has hostage,
he'll do it. Like, he will just be he will do it because the coin has told him.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Two-Face also carries his obsession with the number 2 in his choice of weapons. He carries twin 22 automatics, with which he is extremely skilled and intelligent. His psychotic obsession with duality and his designing crimes around the number 2 often does lead to his downfall. It's very similar to Riddler, where if something happens in 2, you're kind of like, it's probably Two-Face.
It's probably the guy who's obsessed with the number 2.
So in Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious earth, this is a one-shot in the comic books, this is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
The doctors at Arkham were shown to have weaned him off of the coin and onto a die, first of all. And then they moved from the die to a pack of tarot cards. And so with the die, instead of only good and evil, he is given 6 different options. Which is like, obviously you can make whatever options out, because you need to get him more off the 2. The more options there are, the better. And with the tarot cards, he has 78 possible options.
Yeah, which sounds like a good thing.
Yeah. But could be many ways to kill you.
Could be many ways to kill you, but I remember from that comic is that it meant that he was unable to make even a simple decision.
Yes.
Like, I think he pisses himself because he can't decide whether he can go to the bathroom.
He's completely dependent and is unable to decide to go to the bathroom before sorting through the cards.
Yeah, which really goes to show you, like, it's not as simple as he needs more choices. It's that he needs to be able to make a choice on his own. Yeah,
and he can't. Like, he needs something that tells him, but something that is completely free of interference from somebody else.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating because he can always just to himself justify, oh sure, the coin told me to do it. Like, I didn't choose to do this.
And that's the very interesting thing with Harvey Dent, is the psychology of him. That he's like, I'm not committing these crimes. Two-Face is committing them. I'm just following the coin. Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's just the way that this works. And it's always going to work like this.
And it stems in the most simple way back to his childhood. Like, his father was beating him with the coin, like flipping the coin to see if he got beaten or not. So he was like, well, the coin, what the coin says goes. So even if it recommends bad things, you can't flinch. You just have to go that way.
Yeah, like presumably when he was a kid, and it's awful to be saying this, but sometimes he got lucky and didn't get beaten. Like,
yeah.
He's rationalised that in his head.
So over the years, various attempts have been made to repair his facial scars, but none have successfully cured his insanity long term. Although he has briefly returned to his Dent persona, he normally ends up destroying one side of his face and becoming Two-Face again.
What if he was to entirely destroy his entire face?
I think he might go fully mental.
Right, okay.
I don't know.
He won't do that.
In the Dark Knight Returns, you know, the one when Batman is old and he comes back out of retirement.
The Zack Snyder movie, yeah.
No. They did an animated movie in a two-parter, and that's really good. But
that's not what I'm thinking.
Harvey Dent's face is completely healed in that comic book, and they restore all the damaged tissue in his face. And it's on the news, and it's all funded by Bruce Wayne as well. Bruce Wayne funds all of the healing. And it's really interesting because after the surgery, Dent is considered to be cured from his dual personality insanity. And he even appears on TV with a coin that has two clean sides. However, as the story progresses, he gets involved in crimes again and is eventually caught by Batman. And it's revealed that he thinks that they did the opposite of what the surgery promised. So he thinks that they've scarred both sides of his face and not healed the other side of his face.
Dent thinks this.
Yeah, Dent thinks it. And in the comic book, he wraps his whole head in a bandage. Because he's like, I'm hideous. And he's completely perfect underneath it. Like, he's perfectly healed. But he's gone so far off the deep end that he looks in the mirror and he sees a monster. And he just wraps his face and says, oh, they've fucked it up. They've done it for a laugh, like, because I'm evil. They won't fix me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so he becomes just completely psychotic in that comic book.
That's interesting that he thinks, even when he's fully healed, he's like, no, I'm a monster. Like, they messed it up. Oh, man, I didn't know that. That's fucking class.
I'm pretty sure in his own words, he says that they didn't do it just to have a laugh. That's his quote. They did it just to have a laugh at me, because everyone's laughing at me. So they ruined my face. And you see him on the news that his face is perfect. Like, he looks human.
Yeah, he looks like Harvey Dent, presumably.
Yeah, he looks like Harvey Dent, but he wrapped himself in bandages and he's like, I'm hideous. Don't look at me.
Interesting. He's kind of tragic when you think about it.
As most Batman villains are.
That's true.
But as most good villains are, I think. That's a case for all rogues galleries. The best ones are tragic in some way.
Yeah. They need a backstory to justify their actions, but some people are just dickheads.
So in terms of rivalries, Two-Face has an interesting relationship with a lot of other people. So obviously with Batman, him and Batman don't get on. But there's also an episode of Batman the Animated Series, I think it's called Judgment Day. And there's a guy dressed as a judge going around killing off loads of villains. And basically, and I don't know, maybe not killing off, but he's going around beating the absolute shit out of all villains. And he turns up and he has this big, massive, like, judge outfit on. And there's always, like, holy music. And he's like, you! And he, like, points. And, like, then he fucks them up. And he catches Penguin. And then I can't remember who else he gets. Maybe Scarecrow. And he's picking them off one by one. And Two-Face comes to Batman. He's like, we're all getting picked off. We need your help. And Batman's like, okay, cool. And so Batman's like trying to save Two-Face because Two-Face is down as he's next. Like, Two-Face, you're next to be picked off. And It goes through the whole episode, and the bad guy and Two-Face are whatever. And at the very end, you find out that the bad guy is Two-Face. He's Judgment Day, or he is the judge. So he develops a third personality.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, he develops a third personality that deems Two-Face as guilty.
And so he was presumably going to kill himself.
Yes,
then.
he was.
Oh, that's bad, man.
Yeah, it's really fucked, but that's a good episode. But yeah, so in terms of his rivalry, so with the Joker, both Two-Face and the Joker are often aligned, just as much as they oppose each other. So this is because, while both are chaotic in nature, their dispositions are entirely opposite, with the Joker's motivations centering around self-amusement and chaos, and Two-Face is often centering on anger and revenge. These two always feud and compete on defeating Batman. That's what they're probably 1 and 2 in regards to Batman's rogues gallery. In regards to other rivalries, Poison Ivy, they have an interesting thing that they were seen to maybe they were romantically linked when he was Harvey Dent, and she tried to kill him off as Poison Ivy.
Okay.
But yes, she does attempt to murder Harvey Dent with plant toxins sometime before his incident. But further interactions between the two shows that the only thing keeping Two-Face from killing Ivy out of revenge is a lucky coin flip. This carried over into the animated series, in which both sides of Dent's personality expressed a desire in killing her. Though Harvey Dent wanted to strangle her, and Big Bad Harv wanted to hit her with a truck.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, just like Poison Ivy. And with the Penguin, him and the Penguin hate each other. They're always at each other's throats. This is mostly because they're both normally looking for extra ground in Gotham. It's probably the two of them in Black Mask, looking for more ground, just like more streets to own as crime bosses.
Yeah, and so it's a turf thing that they want more, and they're both stopping each other.
And Penguin is more selfish and greedy, while Two-Face believes in a twisted form of like justice and like balance.
Yeah, and I think he says it in The Dark Knight, the Aaron Eckhart version. He says it's not about what's right, it's about what's fair.
Yeah, and that's probably the best encapsulation of Two-Face as a character. So in terms of his powers abilities, he's a professional lawyer. He's an expert detective, so he possesses great deductive skills and analytic ability, reinforced by the training given by Batman. He's a criminal mastermind. He's a genius in criminal planning and has many ties to the underworld. He's an expert marksman. This is thanks to Slade Wilson training him at one stage. Dent becomes an excellent marksman, able to shoot accurately from long distances. He's a skilled combatant because he was trained by Batman in Kung Fu. His paraphernalia is his coin, so Two-Face is mostly dependent on his coin, as we've discussed, and any weapons will do as long as there's two of them. So 2 semi-automatic pistols, 2 knives, 2 rocket launchers, 2 poison gases, anything that comes in twos that he can hold in both hands.
He could have 2 pens, which is mightier than 2 swords.
Exactly, he's writing both poems. One is a bit messier than the other.
He's right-handed, yeah.
And in terms of trivia, Two-Face is considered Batman's second arch nemesis after the Joker. Two-Face, as I said, made his debut as Harvey Kent, but they changed it to not match Superman's alter ego. Weirdly, the giant penny in the Batcave is nothing to do with Two-Face. It was in fact used by a villain called the Penny Plunderer, who has since been retconned out of Batman's rogue gallery, so it has nothing to do with Two-Face.
So the penny's just there now?
It's just there, yeah.
It's just fucking hanging around. Batman just likes pennies and dinosaurs.
Just loves pennies and dinosaurs. And the other bit of trivia I had was that Dr. Eckhart rebuilt his face, and Aaron Eckhart played him in The Dark Knight. So, yeah, that's my report on Two-Face, Sean.
That is quite the comprehensive history of Harvey Dent, my friend.
He's an interesting character.
He really is, and I didn't know half of that stuff. And it's mad how many times his face has been fixed. And then immediately retconned again.
Because he's just mental. That's just the way he is. Like, you can fix him for a short while, but eventually something's going to happen to drive him back over the edge.
Yeah, like you're putting like a plaster on it. You're putting a patch on it. And it holds for a little while, and then it just something snaps him again.
And when he snaps, like, he fully snaps. And he just starts killing people.
Yeah, I like the idea as well, and I'm sure this comes up in comics a lot, is that, like, Batman does, like, wear two faces at times. Like, Batman is Bruce Wayne and Batman, and the lines kind of blur sometimes. But I like that Harvey Dent is both at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's why they work so well, as when Bruce and him are friends beforehand. And then, say, like, 6 months down the line, you see where the two of them are. Whereas Harvey Dent's Two-Face is literally right in front of you. And Bruce Wayne's Two-Face is completely, like, hidden under the surface.
Yeah, like, no one knows. Where, like, Dent can't hide it.
He just can't. And I think that's why Bruce feels so sorry for him. And even, like, no matter what, most canon in regards to these two characters is Bruce is always trying to save him. Like, as Bruce Wayne, rather than Batman. So, Batman will, like, fight him and stop him blowing up the city, but then Bruce Wayne will pay for the procedure to fix his face, or else get him mental help.
Yeah. Like, he's a really interesting character, and it's mad that he's been there from the start as well. I often think this about DC, is that some of the oldest characters are the ones that are still around.
They're the old ones for a reason, though. Like, they're old ones. They're all created by Bill Finger. They're pretty good.
Created solely by Bob Kane.
Indeed. Shaun, do you want to take us out?
Yes, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Hero or Zero. We will be back on Monday with Movie Mondays, Wednesday with Weird News Wednesday, and next Friday with another episode of Hero or Zero. Big thank you goes out to all of our patrons over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast. Link to that in the description if you want to support us over there. Everyone who supports us over there, thank you all so much. It's really amazing, and we hope you enjoy the extra content that we do put up there every single month. The best way you can ever support the show is by telling one human being that we exist.
Just the one, please.
Please. I know we often, the tone of our voice implies you can tell more, but just the one.
I'll actually get mad. I will blow a fuse if you tell more than one.
Connor will send me rude texts, and no one wants that.
I will make a jigsaw real angrily.
Yeah, Connor will forget another recording session.
Luckily I had the report done up already. You would have rang me, I was like,
cobbling it together.
What the fuck is this chap doing? I'm just making it up on the spot. Harvey Dent, he doesn't like Batman. He doesn't like Batman, and he loves twos.
Oh, well, fucking fair play. That's a good summary.
That's the end of my report, Shaun. Do you want to take us out?
Yes, we're on all the social medias. Facebook, Heroes for Hire Podcast. Instagram, Heroes for Hire Podcast. Twitter, @Heroes for Hire Pod. 4 is the number 4. Or you can email us, heroesforhire_@outlook.com. But I think that's about it, Connor.
I think so. So I've been Ciara Lawler.
I've been Shaun Meehan.
See you next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.